All right, folks, we're back. Your Messiah, the Ayatollah of reasonable thinking, along with the best in the business, B squared.
Back like we never left.
Back like we never left. So let's see where we are at this point, because again, it's a process. We started this in trying to decode you. A lot of you started thinking, maybe I need to get out of this cult, the cult of mediocrity. Actually, it's worse than mediocrity. When you're in last place every year, it's worse than mediocrity. Then we basically gave you, how did Joe Douglas get here? What brought this man here? Again, when we were all suffering, Jet fans, when Joe Douglas was flipping cars, flipping burgers, messing around with the Ravens and the Bears and the Eagles, we were here suffering. He does not know the pain of being a Jets fan. And we'll be here long after. So we basically spoke about how he's here, what his background was. We gave him a pass in the 2019 season, of which they won 7 games, with Mike McKagan's awful team. Then, okay, I'm getting to work. Washing my hands, and I'm getting dirty! I'm Joe Douglas. I got a draft to do. I got a bunch of free agents to do. We went through the draft process. He hit 0, failing grade. By all accounts, failing grade. Well, you also get to get some free agents. He also gets some money to spend. Some moolah. So let's complete the 2022 season.
The 2020.
I'm sorry. Let's not get there yet. Let's complete the 2020 season, of which they won. How many games was it?
2 games.
Wow. That's not good. But unfortunately, it was too good because they didn't get Trevor Lawrence. I'm stuck with Zach Wilson. Sometimes, in that movie, White Man Can't Jump, a famous saying. You've seen that movie, right?
I have, yep.
Sometimes when you win, you lose. Sometimes when you lose, you win. And sometimes when you win or lose, you're really tired. I don't know. Something like that. But it was, we won and lost. We won and lost. Game changing. All right, we're gonna do this in alphabetical order. Benny, please tell me the first player in alphabetical order.
So the first player we're going to be talking about in this free agency is Josh Andrews. He's a guard.
So Josh Andrews, the unfortunate thing, we talked about it last episode, I guess when you're a GM, you get to know other players, and Josh Andrews was a nobody with the Eagles, but I guess, Joe Douglas is a very good talent evaluator. So we're going to bring him onto our team. We're going to sign him, and we're going to throw him. How much money did we throw him? I don't know if we threw him about $1 million. What happened with Josh Andrews?
He did not get much money from the Jets, and he was pretty injured his entire career up until this point. He only played and was never a starter. And then he played 15 games for the Jets.
And then what did they do to him?
And then they released him.
You know what other word we use with release? When you have a release? It's a bowel movement. That's what he was. A bowel movement. He was released. So, what do we call this grade? You spent $1 million, not a lot of money in football terms. What was his impact with the team? Was he impactful?
No, not really.
I mean, he won 2 games.
They did win 2 games. You talked about this off camera, but you said that Joe Douglas this year, he kind of just was like taking shots on a bunch of nobodies, and he just assumed that one of them would hit.
Yeah.
We're going to see that there's a theme that none of them hit.
Yeah, I think Joe Douglas, and I've read this in an article, so it's not me. Basically, he didn't have the balls to go out and do something. He basically shopped in the dollar store, and every time you shop in the dollar store, you get things that, every now and then, you'll get something that's probably worth $4. But for the most part, you're buying stuff that you probably can get for 70 cents. And by the way, dollar stores are now $1.25. I think it's mismarketing there.
Yeah.
You ever go to the dollar store and everything's $1.25, but it's still called the dollar store? Another episode for that.
Anyways.
Who's next?
Next is Pierre Desir. He's a cornerback. They got him for 1 year, $5.5 million.
There's a cool guy, and I forget what his name is, and he's so super positive. He's a Jet content guy. I can't even make fun of him like I do with the rest of them, because he gets on there, and I for my safety, because I don't know who these content guys work for. I have to be masked because it's just, they could work for the KBG, the CIA, the FBI, the ABC. I don't know. I gotta have eyes in the back of my head, back of my ears, everywhere. But this guy, every time the Jets signed someone, B Squared, he was like, he got on, he'd be like, oh my God, I just got news. We just signed Pierre Desir. He played for the Colts, and the upside. This guy is like, the glass is overflowing. I can't make fun of him because the guy that's that positive. You probably know who I mean, everybody, if you watch a lot of Jet content. But man, he likes to overrate not only Jets players, he likes to overrate the players before they even get here. How did Pierre do with the Jets?
He was released halfway through the season, but he did have 3 interceptions. But you mentioned that he got burned a lot in coverage.
Yeah, I remember watching Pierre, Brett Rippin. Brett freaking Rippin on the Broncos.
Hey, RGF. Remember to look into the camera. You're looking at your computer screen right now. You're staring off into the darkness.
I don't even know what I'm looking at.
Into the darkness of the Jets' future and past and everything.
I'm so confused by everything, B Squared. I don't even know where to look. Doing this project has made me age 1,000 years. You should see my face under here.
And we're only on episode 2. Imagine what it's going to be halfway through this season. It's going to be rough.
I'm going to stop looking at the microphone. I'm going to start looking at you here. Thank you. That's why you're the best in the business.
Hey, I gotta call it when I see it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Anyway, Pierre Desir, Jerry Jeudy is still running. Brett Rippin threw up like a 50-yard touchdown pass, and Pierre's like, ooh, I ain't gonna catch him. So, what would you kind of grade somebody like that? They wait. What was it here? B Squared. They basically, I wrote my notes down here. They signed him in April. They released him in November. That's not a long time.
No.
A lot of incompletes here, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
But,
I'll give him a D-.
Yeah, not very impactful. I mean, remember, folks, everything's pretty much an F because the players that were signed resulted in the Jets being in last place. Resulted in them getting a second-round pick in the draft. I mean, unfortunately, unfortunately, the Jaguars suck. I don't think the Jaguars were a worse team. They just lost more games. The Jets were probably the worst team. Just didn't get the best pick because of Brandon Mann.
They got lucky.
Yeah. Sometimes when you lose,
lucky, unlucky.
Who do we got next there?
Okay, we're talking about the offensive lineman George Fant. He signed a 3-year, $30 million contract with the Jets in the 2020 offseason. $13.7 million guaranteed.
A lot of money.
It was a lot of money.
A lot of money for a very marginal player, folks. Yeah. I know. Where is he right now?
Where is that? Oh, I think that was the last time he played was in 2020. Yeah.
I don't know where George Fant is. I don't know if he re-signed someplace else. But what I do know, and I do trust, is the PFF grades.
Yeah.
48.4 PF grade. That's not the realistic Jets fan grade. That's not Buffalo's grade. Buffalo's grade would be like he's 100 because he plays for the Jets. Jake Asman, he's great. Not impactful. At least he was on the field most of the time, right?
He was. He was a starter in almost every single game that he played for the Jets. Played like around 90% of the snaps every single. Yeah. Played 90% of the snaps every year he played. So he was on the field. He just was not very good.
Yeah. So I don't know. Is it better off if Crap gets hurt or if Crap plays?
Who knows? But I was going to say that when we talk about Zach Wilson further down the line, his rookie year was 2020. Is that correct?
Zach Wilson?
Yeah.
Was drafted the following year.
Okay. So
no, Zach Wilson 2021.
Oh, got it. Okay. Well, anyways, George Fant still played in 2021. Zach Wilson led the league in yards lost due to sack. So that kind of exemplifies how bad George Fant is.
I'm going to give you guys a little bit of preview. A little snippet. We call it in the business a teaser. Zach Wilson plays backwards. He played for BYU. BYU is not a big college football team. They're not. And in 2020, during the COVID year, when he had this fantastic statistical year, a good portion of the opponents, Benny, for BYU canceled. So they're an independent school. They're not independent like Notre Dame, where they get big schools come there. They're independent. So they replaced those people who canceled on them with shittier teams. So basically, Zach Wilson played against a lot of lower talent. Also, a lot of Mormons play for BYU. Mormon men go on missions after high school usually. So they start their college careers 2 years later. That's 2 years of growth. My point is that BYU, compared to their opponents in 2020, were much better. And Zach Wilson went backwards a lot of times, played a lot of schoolyard football, threw a lot of balls up for grabs that his team caught.
We're going on a little bit of a rant right here. We're supposed to be focusing on the...
Well, my point is, you hit on something there. My point there is that in college, he ran around a lot, and he turned those into positive yards. But in the NFL, when you get NFL players, you run backwards a lot, you get tackled.
Yeah.
Who's next there?
Okay, then next we have the main man, Joe Flacco. Great quarterback for the Ravens.
When did he win the Super Bowl?
He won the Super Bowl in 2012. He won Super Bowl MVP.
You know who's undefeated?
Who?
Father Time. Father Time is undefeated!
He was 35 years old when he was signed by the Jets.
You know who gets credit for finding Joe Flacco as a scout?
Who?
Joe Douglas.
Really?
Yeah, it says Joe Douglas' claim to fame. So he basically saw him throw, and he's like, wow, that guy's got a great arm. You know, Joe Flacco had a good arm. And he was probably fairly mobile, but of course, the relationship, they signed him to a cheap contract. Who knows? Maybe the Jets make the playoffs if Joe Flacco doesn't play the past year. But he did.
In 2020, he started 4 games, did not win a single game that he played. In his entire career with the Jets, he won a single game as a starter.
So Joe Douglas is a nice guy. He took care of somebody, he knew. I don't know if Joe Flacco needed the money after his career, but he got paid $1 million, so I guess in backup quarterback money, it's not a lot of money. But did it help us?
No. There was plenty of other quarterbacks that Joe Douglas could have gotten instead.
Folks, are we building a case here? In future episodes, I won't even tell you what we're going to do there. Let's go to the next one.
Okay, and up next is another player that will go down in infamy as a Jet in 2020, Frank Gore, the running back. 1-year contract, $200K guaranteed.
Another reason why we don't have Trevor Lawrence. I don't think it was Frank Gore. I would think it was Tevin Coleman. But I'll have to check that stat there. But what did Frank Gore do for us?
Well, he was the starting running back at 37 years old. He scored 2 touchdowns. Did not get a receiving touchdown. And there's not 43.5 yards per game. Not very good. But you can't really expect anything good from a 37-year-old running back.
He could have fathered a good portion of the team. Do you realize that, folks? Joe Douglas, you're this great talent evaluator. Is that the best we could do at running back? A guy that has no future with the team? You can't try out somebody else when you're going to win 2 games? Who's next, Benny?
Okay, so up next we have Jordan Jenkins, the edge rusher.
Jordan Jenkins, I look at my notes here, and I basically see another shit show. He was actually drafted by the Jets.
He was.
2016, played for a few years. I have him re-signed on April 23rd, 2020.
Yep.
And then, you know what happened on December 16th?
They released him.
Placed on IR, injured reserve.
Yep.
Was he impactful that year?
Not necessarily, no. So he was an edge rusher. Mm-hmm. He had 2 sacks. And he did not pressure the quarterback very much at all. Only 13 pressures.
Wow.
And he started 12 games.
Okay.
And he also played 61% of the defensive possessions, which is a lot.
Yeah.
So you would expect he would do a little bit better.
Yeah. Okay. Who do we got next?
Alex Lewis, a guard.
Alex Lewis. Unfortunately, what happened with Alex Lewis? He was paid $18.6 million, $5.6 million guarantee, and he retired for personal reasons. Maybe Joe Douglas made him sick.
Yeah, probably.
Was he impactful? Do you have any news on this Hall of Famer?
He started 9 games.
Lyle Alzado?
Started 9 games, got injured.
9 games, got injured.
96% of the offensive possessions he was playing. So, again, he played a lot, not very good.
Why is everyone for the Jets getting hurt? Is it their field? Is it the uniform?
It's the same field as the Giants field,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I know there's a lot of talk about their field, but, like, why do we get brittle players for? I don't know. All right, who's next on our list?
We have Bradley McDougald, a safety. He was acquired via trade, not via free agency.
All right, so this was the great Jamal Adams trade. You know, the Jamal Adams who Joe Douglas said he was going to make him a Jet for life. You know what happens, folks? When your GM fucks around with your star players? Star players don't want to stay here. He almost did it with Quentin Williams. All right, I get it, Jamal Adams was a malcontent and he became a pain in the ass. But he wanted to win. He was a captain of the team. He was a captain of his college team. He came here with all these accolades. He was a Pro Bowl player when he was here. He don't want to stay here. He was right about Adam Gase. He was right about the management. So the Jets traded Jamal Adams and a 4th-round draft pick, and they got back McDougall.
They got 2 first-round picks, one in 2021,
Yeah.
one in 2022,
I think a 3rd-round.
and then a 3rd-round pick in 2021 as well.
And they turned that into some players. But what happened to Mr. McDougall?
He played 1 year with the Jets, 7 games, got injured, and then after that he played in 2021 with Jacksonville in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Never played again.
He ain't here. He's down at Ralph's collecting shopping carts. Painting houses. I don't know.
Yeah. In 2018, though, he was really good. He led the league in forced fumbles with 10.
Who'd he play for?
Seattle.
You get the point? You play someplace else. All right, who's next?
We have Connor McGovern, a center.
Oh, Connor.
18 mil, fully guaranteed.
Yeah. Now, Connor McGovern is probably going to be the best player on this list. As a PFF around 69. I think the guy actually wants to play here. He's actually a current Jet.
He is. He is still a current Jet.
Chose to resign with them.
Yeah.
But a lot of money. But you know, I can't destroy this one here. Anything you have any comments on Connor?
He played every single one of the Jets' offensive possessions in 2022. He played all 17 games. He's a very healthy player, very reliable. This seems like a.
Why do you want to stay here for?
I can't tell you. He must something about New York. Maybe he's got family here.
Maybe he's just not the brightest bulb.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Who knows? All right, we'll leave that at that. Who's next?
Dante Moncrief.
So probably people know very little bit about this one because he was signed on August 31st, and he was released in September 5th. Then he was signed to the practice squad. Sorry, my voice is cracking. He was signed to the practice squad, Benny, on September 10th, only to be released on October 14th. Joe Douglas, a lot of maneuvering there for nothing.
Yep. And then he was later re-signed by the... Wait, who is that?
Signed by somebody else, huh?
Yeah, he was signed by somebody else.
Probably turned into an All-Pro.
He was
probably to a star.
He was signed to the Patriots, but he didn't. He played in 6 games. He didn't really do much.
At least a lot more than he did for us.
Yep.
All right, who's next?
So up next we have Patrick Onwuasor.
Yeah.
Onwuasor.
I remember this one.
Patrick Onwuasor.
Yeah, free agent. We got a linebacker. I remember the guy getting on there, the happy guy, half overflowing the glass. What happened with this guy?
He played 1 game.
He was signed on April 6th. He was released in September. He was activated then in November. Then he went on IR again in later November. I think the Jets' 2 favorite letters in the alphabet are I and R. Because that's where everybody ends up on.
I agree.
Next one. I don't know if I'm going to get through the next one.
Brashad Perryman.
See, I got to give Joe Douglas some credit. At least he came back and he said, wow, I really shit the bed on this one. I learned something here. I don't know if he did. So Brashad Perriman was going to be the replacement for Robbie Anderson. We all talk about Zach Wilson and him sucking ass. And our players have nobody to play with. Robbie Anderson for the New York Jets had no one to play with. Do you know what Robbie Anderson did the following year? They could have had Robbie Anderson for $4 more million. He signed a 2-year, $20 million with the Carolina Panthers. We paid this ass munch $6 million. You know what this ass munch did for the Jets that year? Brashad Perriman?
Yeah,
He had 30 receptions, maybe 500 yards.
Yep.
You know what Robbie Anderson did with this 2020? 100 plus receptions, 1,000 plus yards, and I know he's changed his name to Chosen. I don't know why, and I know that he's not as good now. I think he's on the 49ers, but that's what the great talent evaluator did. The great talent evaluator said, "I can do better than you, Robbie Anderson. I'm going to get Brashad Perriman, a journeyman. I'm going to shop at the dollar store, get him for $6 million, instead of going all in and paying this guy $10 million, which right now is a steal for wide receivers. I'm going to do that. I know better. I'm the smartest guy in the room."
Brashad Perriman, the years before,
Yeah.
the most yards he had in a season was 645.
Oh boy.
The most Robbie Anderson had was in 2017, 941. Robbie Anderson has never had as good of a year as he had in Carolina in 2020. It was kind of a fluky year for him.
Yeah.
He caught a lot of touchdowns when he was younger.
He had
but
a lot of chemistry with Sam Darnold, and that they thought that was going to happen again when Sam Darnold went to Carolina. It
Yeah.
never did. Robbie Anderson was another guy, who got an off the field stuff. I think a lot of, but again, put yourself in Joe Douglas's shoes. You're a talent evaluator. What makes you think, based on history, that Brashad Perriman is going to be your number one receiver and replace Robbie Anderson?
I can't tell you.
We're trying to lose, folks.
Yeah. If it's between those two, I'm sticking with what I got with Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, but you shop at the dollar store, shit breaks. That's the way it is. Go to a good store, go to Target, and buy it there. Spend more money, it'll last longer. You spend money to save money. All right, we got 2 more on our list, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
It ain't gonna get much better. Go ahead.
We
B
got
squared.
Brian Poole signed a 1-year, $5 million contract with them. Cornerback.
Yeah.
In Atlanta.
How'd he do?
In 20. Oh, sorry. He played for the Jets in 2019.
Yeah,
as
to a
well.
1-year deal. He signed another
he did
contract in March.
Another 1-year deal again. He did not do very good. He was an okay player. He wasn't like amazing, but
Right.
he wasn't as good as he was in 2019.
And guess how his season ended? On the IR.
Say it with him, folks.
Say it with me. IR. According to the notes here, he re-signed on March 21st, 2020, placed on injury reserve on November 27th. Must be something in the water in East Rutherford, New Jersey. All right, last but not least in the alphabetical order,
Greg Van Roten.
and it should be Grand Van Rotten, because that's kind of what he was in a way. There, he was signed April 2nd, 2020. He started 12 games. Guess what happened to him on December 12th? He was placed on the
IR.
He was activated in January 2nd, 2021, and then on May 2022, like a turd going down a bowl out of your buttocks, he was released.
Very graphic.
I got to paint the picture. So B squared.
Yep.
We've done a lot of work here.
Yep.
We basically have evaluated the Jets 2020, all their moves.
Yep.
We had a GM who was signed, who took over for another GM who won 24 games. The first full year, because we're giving Joe Douglas a pass, 2019. The first full year where he got to make all the moves, construct the team. I know Jet fans are already waiting to say, well, it was only 1 year, and then he won more games the next year.
He won 2 more games next year.
Yeah, 2 more games. I'd rather have Mike McKagan and go 7-9, and have a shot. Maybe we can win 2 of those. You know that? Okay, but we got a great talent evaluator. He was hired by Sam Gase. Then he fired Sam Gase. Adam Gase. Sorry about that. Now he's fired him at the end of the year here. And I read you all the accolades he said about him. He lied. Or he's just stupid. We went through every draft pick, Benny. We went through every free agent pick.
Yep.
We talked about his past.
Mm-hmm.
Please grade this individual as the highest ranking executive, other than owner, for the New York Jets in 2020.
You want me to give him like a letter rating for
a letter
2020?
grade. You're not a Jets fan. You're
I'm not.
You're just the best producer in the business. You're impartial here.
Yeah.
Please tell me what you think.
If I was a Jets fan going into this season, I would not be very excited. I don't know what the hype was around the Jets in the 2020 season, but it would be very low for me. It does not look. Nothing looks exciting about this. There's no big, pretty names that I'm seeing in free agency or any of the draft picks that I'm like, except for who was the wide receiver that they drafted in the 3rd round. I knew he had a lot of potential. The guy that they just traded to the Lions.
Oh,
what's his name?
Denzel?
Yeah, Denzel Mims. Except for Denzel Mims, I would have been excited for him.
Yeah.
But besides that, not really.
Okay, Jets fans, the season's ended now. Now we're going to basically think about, we want our coach gone, and now the only thing the Jets fans do, because we don't have a postseason, we don't make the playoffs, we get to think about the draft. And this year, more than any other year, there's a million gazillion shows going into it, and we're analyzing who are we going to get after Trevor Lawrence. Get everyone's name wrong. Who are we going to get? That's what we're thinking. We're going into 2021 next. We're going into 2021 next because that's all we have to live for. Because football season is over. We'll be back.